Welcome to World Code Updates, your daily briefing on everything happening around the world. It was August 2025. Most of America was probably doing something incredibly American, like Googling how many ounces are in a gallon for the third time this week. Then, the news broke. FIFA pulls World Cup finals from USA. It felt like a typo, a prank, but it wasn't. The biggest sporting event on the planet, the one America had been planning for and bragging about, was suddenly gone. It was like planning the world's most epic party, only to have the planet call and say, "Sorry, we're going to your neighbor's house instead." The initial reaction was pure confusion. Wait, what? How? We're America! We host things! The idea that FIFA, which once gave a World Cup to Qatar, would deem the US unfit was staggering. It was a gut punch to the national ego. Organizers in cities like Los Angeles and New York who had spent years and millions were left staring at their plans like kids told Santa isn't real, and he's taking their bike. This wasn't just a logistical hiccup, it was a public shaming on a global scale. The US, the nation that prides itself on being the best, had been sent to its room without supper, and the supper was being given to Canada and Mexico. The message from FIFA was clear: America, you've become too much of a hassle. And just like that, the dream of a coast-to-coast soccer festival evaporated, leaving behind a bitter taste of failure. The silence from the official organizing committee was deafening. It screamed of panic, frantic phone calls, and high-level officials desperately trying to figure out who to blame. The dream of 2026, meant to be a celebration of unity and American power, instantly morphed into a national embarrassment. The world wasn't just watching, it was pointing and laughing. For a country that loves being number one, being told you're not even qualified to host the party is a special kind of hell. The emotional fallout was immediate and brutal. Soccer fans woke up to a nightmare. Imagine being a kid on Christmas morning only to find a note from Santa saying he's skipping your house this year. In Kansas City and other hopeful host cities, heartbreak set in. Bars with pallets of beer for 2026 faced a very long inventory. Fan groups saw their hopes dashed in a single press release. The collective groan of disappointment was so loud it probably registered on a seismograph. Then came the anger, and a healthy dose of American embarrassment. TV pundits who couldn't explain the offside rule suddenly became FIFA experts. Fingers were pointed everywhere. Government, organizers, anyone but themselves. The narrative quickly became one of national humiliation. We had been deemed unworthy. The US, the country that put a man on the moon, couldn't figure out how to get soccer teams through customs. Organizers, who'd spent nearly a decade on this, were left to explain the unexplainable. Their press conferences were a masterclass in corporate doublespeak. Disappointed, surprised, seeking clarification, when what they really meant was panicked and furious. The carefully constructed facade of competence crumbled, revealing chaos and miscalculation. The World Cup was supposed to be soccer's coming-out party in America. Instead, it felt like being grounded on prom night. The sense of a missed opportunity was immense, and the question on everyone's lips: how did we let this happen? So how did it happen? It wasn't one thing but a perfect storm of logistical nightmares and political stubbornness. FIFA's endless demands clashed with America's federalism. What the federal government promised, states and cities couldn't always deliver. Stadiums were a mess. NFL owners balked at FIFA's ad-free revenue-sharing requirements. Negotiations bogged down in endless arguments over money and control. Infrastructure promises like high-speed rail were behind schedule or shelved. FIFA saw America's crumbling infrastructure and panicked. American organizers assumed their market and stadiums would be enough, underestimating FIFA's rigidity. They thought they were hosting a bigger Super Bowl, not the entire planet. The world didn't bend, it broke, in favor of neighbors who quietly did their homework. If logistical squabbles were the cracks, America's political climate was the earthquake, the biggest stumbling block: US immigration and security policies. New travel restrictions and security laws created a bureaucratic nightmare for an event that involves the entire world. FIFA needed guarantees that every player, official, journalist, and fan could enter the country. The US couldn't give them. The visa process became a symbol of dysfunction. Officials from smaller federations stuck in limbo, journalists facing scrutiny, and the global entry for all plan tangled in red tape. Imagine planning the world's biggest party, but your bouncer insists on 3 rounds of interviews for every guest. The Secure Traveler Act of 2024 was the nail in the coffin, giving authorities sweeping powers to deny entry. For FIFA, this was a red line. The World Cup is about universality. every nation on equal footing. American security policy created unacceptable uncertainty. The political rhetoric had become isolationist. The country that once welcomed the world now seemed to have a giant no vacancy sign. FIFA and the world saw a nation turning its back on the global community. Hosting the World Cup is an act of openness. America's invitation came with too many terms and conditions. The message was clear: suspicion, not welcome. And that was a deal breaker. While America tied itself in knots, its co-hosts were a picture of calm and competence. Canada and Mexico, once seen as junior partners, emerged as the responsible adults. Canada streamlined visas, passed federal guarantees, and worked seamlessly across government levels. Mexico, with its deep soccer culture and experience, upgraded stadiums and locked in security plans. Both countries rolled out the red carpet, not red tape. The contrast was stark and embarrassing for the US. While American officials argued over security costs, Canada and Mexico submitted fully funded plans. While US visa applications vanished into a black hole, our neighbors issued press releases. Welcome, world. FIFA saw a choice wrestle with a difficult partner or shift the main event to those who did everything right. In the end, it wasn't a hard decision. Canada and Mexico didn't steal the World Cup. America gave it away. The economic consequences hit fast. The withdrawal wasn't just a blow to pride, it was a dagger to local economies. Cities that banked on a tourist boom faced a black hole in their budgets. Hotels, restaurants, and small businesses lost a once-in-a-generation windfall. Investments in infrastructure and stadiums vanished with no return. The ripple effect was huge. City budgets redrawn, public services cut. The World Cup was sold as a golden ticket. Now it's a cautionary tale. Beyond money, trust was shattered. America had made a promise to the world and failed to keep it. International corporations and broadcasters were left scrambling. The message: America had become unpredictable, its politics too volatile for major investments. The loss of trust is harder to quantify, but far more damaging. America's internal divisions were now a global liability. Once the decision was made, the shift was swift. Sponsors like Coca-Cola and Adidas rerouted their marketing dollars to Canada and Mexico. Commercials with maple leaves and mariachi bands replaced those with the Statue of Liberty. Fans changed travel plans. Flights to LA and New York canceled, new ones booked to Toronto and Mexico City. Demand for hotels and tickets in Canada and Mexico skyrocketed. American cities prepared for a flood of visitors, but were left with eerie quiet. FIFA embraced its new hosts, praising their cooperation and warm welcome. The contrast was clear: America was left behind. The world's attention turned north and south, while US news covered blame and fallout. America wasn't just missing out on revenue, it was missing out on the joy and global connection. For soccer historians, this debacle echoed Colombia in 1986. Colombia, awarded the World Cup, had to withdraw due to instability and lack of resources. America's failure, by contrast, was born of political dysfunction and arrogance. The US had all the resources, but lacked the unity and humility to meet basic requirements. In a way, America's failure is even more damning. Colombia couldn't host. America wouldn't. Just as in 1986, another nation stepped in, Mexico and now Canada too. They showed flexibility, cooperation, and a genuine desire to welcome the world. The historical parallel sharpened the sting. America had become the new cautionary tale. Hosting the World Cup is a privilege, not a right. It demands openness and commitment from the whole country. The ghost of 1986 is a reminder. No nation is too big to fail on the world stage. In the end, this was never just about soccer. Losing the World Cup was a symptom, not the cause, of America's deeper issues. The fiasco held up a mirror to the nation, and the reflection wasn't flattering. It showed a country paralyzed by politics, unable to unite even for a project with broad support. The dream of a unifying World Cup was squandered by the very divisions it was meant to heal. This failure forces a moment of national introspection. What does it say about our place in the world? The world is moving on, and other nations are ready to lead. Reliability, cooperation, and openness are the new currencies of global leadership, and America was found wanting. The lesson isn't just about a fumbled tournament, it's a wake-up call. Will America learn from this or just find someone new to blame and change the channel?